Courtney. At least I can count on Darren to be here on Thursdays and Fridays with me. Thank you.
Why do we have a cowboy on the set? I don't understand.
A champion cowboy, Stephen A. Smith. 3 rings.
3 rings. Champ,
whatever.
Okay. Well, preseason. It's technically like preseason, or it's after the playoffs. So nothing wrong with having the cowboy here. It's not like
that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Go do something else, Max.
All right, we go from 3 Super Bowl rings to 3 suspensions. That would be what Josh Gordon has. Stephen A., I want to start with you on this one. Who deserves a chance more? Would you lean towards Johnny Manziel or Josh Gordon?
Damn. I didn't even know that was going to be the question. I got to be honest with you, because as far as I'm concerned, neither.
It's an easy question.
I don't know. I swear to you, I just totally forgot. Let me be very, very clear. Josh Gordon is a superstar talent. But when you have suffered multiple drug suspensions, and then you are brought back when the NFL literally compromises its policy, lets you back with the team early so you can hang out with them, work out with them, etc. And then on the eve that you are supposed to return, you check yourself into rehab again? I mean, damn. I want to give the brother a chance now, but I mean, I just don't know. I just don't. Now, Johnny Manziel ain't even in his stratosphere talent-wise. So from a talent perspective, it's no comparison. It would be Josh Gordon. But in terms of taking a chance on somebody, Johnny Manziel's multiple problems, well documented. Nobody's oblivious to that. At the same time, doesn't appear to have the addictive tendencies that Josh Gordon has in terms of what has been reported officially. You know what I'm saying?
We don't know about that.
Stephen A., you don't need to tie yourself into a logical pretzel over this one. The answer is very easy and straightforward.
I need help. I confess, I need help. I need help with this one. Go ahead, Max.
And by the way, so do Josh Gordon and Johnny Manziel. They both struggled with addiction and probably continue to struggle with addiction. That's a one-day-at-a-time type thing. They're going to have to deal with that every day. So there's recidivist behavior in terms of what got them out of the league in the first place. But if you do the time, then why not be reevaluated? And I don't think that struggling with addiction on an ongoing basis is enough to disqualify someone from playing. So then it becomes about the talent. And where Gordon just struggles with addiction, it seems, Johnny Manziel struggles with addiction and not being good enough. That's where he really struggles. Mm-hmm. He ain't good enough. Yeah. He was maybe going to be good enough out of college, but was the type of player that you had to redo your whole offense around if he could have even been good enough. That's Johnny Manziel. Forget him. I wouldn't mess around with him or take a flyer on him. But Josh Gordon, in this era of receivers, you know how I feel about Odell Beckham Jr. The only receiver at a similar age to Odell who was anywhere near him was Josh Gordon. He was a transcendent type of next-level talent. Hell yeah, I would give him another shot. I'd keep giving him shots if I were a team looking for help there. And if he kept blowing it, I'd probably keep giving him shots. Again, struggling with addiction, that's something that people, not to enable a problem, but if the person is serious about coming to grips with it, they deserve multiple opportunities. Manziel struggling with, you ain't good enough.
Right. And listen, I think it's a risk reward. And I think it depends on the appetite of each and every team. Listen, if you're a team that likes, doesn't mind having a situation where Johnny Manziel comes in, and like you guys just said, the talent level is Josh Gordon is who he is. We know who this guy, we've seen him on tape. We know what he can do. We still don't know. The question marks are still out there on Johnny Manziel. So it's a risk reward. If you bring in Johnny Manziel into your locker room, do you really want to have to deal with the off-the-field issues on a backup quarterback, which he primarily will be, a backup quarterback? Josh Gordon, he's a number 1 guy. I mean, if he can come back, get rid of the, what do you call it, Stephen A., all the good that he's out there smoking, if he can get rid of that habit.
The weed.
If he can get rid of that habit, and you can get a guy and be half as productive as he's been in the past, then you have something. And that's the way I look. I think it's just, it's almost like
Aaron, this. One quick thing with it. One thing, Stephen A., what's the reality of it, though, when he hasn't played since 2014? Like, I know in 2013 he had a breakout year. For a receiver to have 2 full years off?
2 full years. Well, still, listen, you're going to go through that whole, teams are going to qualify him. The teams are going to go out there, they're going to look at him and say, look, we got to go through the whole progress of looking in his past, of course, give him a physical, get him out there on the field and see what he can do. Listen, I would take a flyer on Josh Gordon in a hot minute. If I'm a team that needs a number 2 receiver, and this guy can give me half of that production, absolutely he's getting a shot.
Let me explain. I don't disagree with either of y'all. You're absolutely right. I don't mean to imply that. I'm just trying to highlight what my struggle is, Max, Darren, for this purpose. Josh Gordon is clearly an exponentially superior talent. I'm not denying that. What I am saying is, even though Johnny Manziel has addiction problems, it is something that we surmise based on his reported behavior, not multiple suspensions. He had a domestic violence incident. That was a problem. He had alcohol in college. That was an issue. He had this party tendencies because he comes from an affluent background, having nothing to lose. It's all a game. It ain't necessarily a priority. So he was perceived, fairly or not, he was perceived as an individual living fast and loose because he could afford to. That's entirely different than somebody who comes from nothing, who has nothing, who elevates himself to literally superstar status, is in line to make tens of millions of dollars, where it would mean more to him than it would ever mean to somebody coming from an affluent lifestyle like Johnny Manziel, and then still turns around and blows it because he can't stay off whatever he can't stay off.
I'm not going to punish.
And that's what I'm saying. There's a difference here.
I'm not going to let Johnny Manziel slide because his family has dough and Josh Gordon's doesn't. That's not, to me, that's more of a reason to be down on Johnny Manziel. And by the way,
I
if
agree.
Josh Gordon
I'm just
is
talking about the
addicted to
addiction.
weed, I don't mean to make light of any addiction to anything.
Neither do I.
But addicted to weed, I mean, Dave Chappelle had a joke about that in Half Baked. I'll leave it there. Johnny Manziel, before he ever even got to camp, as soon as he turned pro, I think it was after the draft, there was a picture of him in a bathroom with a rolled-up dollar bill. I mean, that's a totally different situation.
Yeah,
a
well,
much
listen,
more
I mean,
serious,
go ahead,
it
Darren.
implies a much more serious situation.
Absolutely. I look at Johnny Manziel's, his problem is social media, the way he goes about his business and the perception that's out there. Yes, it may be a weed problem and it may be an alcohol problem, but it's also a social media problem as well. Josh Gordon, let's just call it what it is. Every team out there is going to have a quarterback guru, a quarterback coach that says, we can fix Johnny Manziel's problem if I can get my hands on him. He may get a second or third shot. Absolutely. But I can look at all 32 teams. You better believe when Josh Gordon reinstates himself, that's today, am I right, Molly? Mm-hmm. When he reinstates himself today, there will be 32 teams who will take a look at Josh Gordon because of the upside that he brings.
Please allow me to close this segment by saying this.
Yep.
All I'm trying to say is there is a vast difference between somebody who lives fast and loose because it's like they have nothing to lose, and somebody who has everything to lose and can't help themselves. I know Josh Gordon's on another level.
Fair. It's
Johnny
a different
Manziel doesn't even deserve to be mentioned in the same breath. But that was my issue here.
I get what
the
you're
debate
saying.
there.
A different hunger there. And speaking of second chances in the Browns, Hugh Jackson currently trending on Twitter because he's saying they won't pursue Colin Kaepernick despite heavy interest last year. Darren, always good to see you.
Thank you, Molly.
Fortunately, you have to go. Coming up, Isaiah Thomas, we'll see how on NFL Live, led the Seas to a big win over Kyrie Irving in the East leading Cavs. Did last night prove he's the better.
And LeBron and Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love. I understand the styles matchup argument, but we just saw the Warriors, as I mentioned yesterday, go across the country for the second of back-to-backs. They didn't have Kevin Durant for most of the game, and Steph Curry spent his second consecutive night ice cold. The Wizards, one of the top teams in the East, are playing at home and highly motivated, on a roll, and won by the skin of their teeth. And that's because the Golden State Warriors, like the Spurs, are extremely well coached. They're familiar with each other. They play as a machine. They have unselfish players. They can play the modern brand of basketball as well or better than anyone. And when you add Kevin Durant to the mix, and you Steph Curry, MVP, Kevin Durant, MVP, Klay Thompson, they have an offense, Stephen A., where a lot of the times the best option for the opposing defense is a wide open Klay Thompson, who might be the greatest shooter ever, or at least capable of getting hotter than anyone ever. That oftentimes is the best option for the defense, and to mention nothing of Draymond Green and guys on the bench like Iguodala and Livingston and all that, and the championship pedigree. This one, I get why people would talk about the Spurs, but they should not be hopeful that Durant comes back and plays for the Warriors if they believe, if the idea is, because we have a better chance against the Warriors with Durant than against the Spurs, because they are wrong about that. They have a much better chance against the Spurs than against the Warriors at full strength.
I'm not sure about that, and I don't see how you can say that considering that experience matters, savvy matters, tempo matters, physicality matters. All of those things come into play come playoff time. if you're just looking at it in a vacuum and you're looking at the level of talent that exists and you're dreaming about this epic matchup between the Cavs and the Warriors, it's understandable, Max. The issue in question, however, is this. We've been talking so much about the Golden State Warriors. Let me give you a reminder. Do you realize that the San Antonio Spurs are 46-13? Do you realize that the San Antonio Spurs are the number one ranked defense in the National Basketball Association? When you combine that with the fact that I look at some of their shooting, in terms of three-point field goal percentage, they're number one. Number one. So they make threes, all right? They take great shots. They play great defense, and it's a collective effort. And more importantly, the tempo that they play at is not conducive to something that would be advantageous for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Other than tempo, though, Stephen A., everything you just said about the Spurs applies to Golden State, but with Durant, better players, period. Like, Tony Parker's good, even though he's older. He ain't close to Steph Curry. As great as Kawhi Leonard is, Kevin Durant is better. Draymond, like, just think about the starting fives. Tony Parker, Danny Green, a very old Pau Gasol, still effective offensively, defensively not as much. LaMarcus Aldridge, you want to Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and Draymond Green? It's just more talent on one side, much more.
First of all, Max, a couple of things you got to consider. Understand that the San Antonio Spurs have 10 players averaging better than 17 minutes a game. 10. It's number one. Number two, when we talk about age, we're going to assume, because we make these prognostications and beyond based on people being healthy on the court playing. Once you're healthy and you're on the court playing, it's no back-to-back. You're getting about 2 days rest between games, okay, because you're healthy for each game. So I don't want to hear anything about age, because at that particular juncture, when you're rested enough to perform, it comes down to your skill, not just physically, but mentally, schematically. All of those things factor into the equation. What I'm saying to you is that even though Golden State is elite as a defensive unit, they're elite when it comes to steals, they're elite when it comes to their length and how they're able to defend perimeter play. But if you're Cleveland and you're hell-bent on going down low and imposing your physical will against them, that is the weakness of the Golden State Warriors. It is not the weakness of the San Antonio Spurs. That's what I'm saying.
By the way, just remember the playoffs the last couple of years. San Antonio looked like a well-oiled machine early, and then a younger, more athletic team ran them out of the building a couple times. I mean, that's how they got bounced recently. I don't see fundamentally, at least in terms of their starting five, how it's going to be any different.
You're right about that, but that's always against the Western Conference foe. Never in the finals has San Antonio got run out of the gym.
Stephen A., I'm just so grateful that you're optimistic about these matchups in the West and the NBA. This is a good thing.
Ain't it special?
Because a happy Stephen A. is a happy Molly Carroll.
I gotta admit, I'm starting to feel an NBA fever now, Max. I'm starting to feel an NBA fever.
Things are turning around. We're feeling good about it. On that note, gentlemen, let's leave it there because we need to talk about a few NFL items. Coming up next, the Patriots are looking like they're going to keep Jimmy Garoppolo after all. Could he be the Aaron Rodgers to Tom Brady's Brett Favre? Plus, could the former bad guy at least I can count on Darren to be here on Thursdays and Fridays with me. Thank you.
Why do we have a cowboy on the set? I don't understand.
A champion cowboy, Stephen A. Smith. 3 rings.
3 rings. Champ.
Whatever.
Well,
Okay.
preseason, it's technically like preseason or it's after the playoffs, so nothing wrong with having a cowboy here. It's not like
that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Go do something else, Max.
All right, we go from 3 Super Bowl rings to 3 suspensions. That would be what Josh Gordon has. Stephen A., I want to start with you on this one. Who deserves a chance more? Would you lean towards Johnny Manziel or Josh Gordon?
Damn. I didn't even know that was going to be the question. I got to be honest with you, because as far as I'm concerned, neither.
It's an easy question.
I don't know. I swear to you, I just totally forgot. Let me be very, very clear. Josh Gordon is a superstar talent. But when you have suffered multiple drug suspensions, and then you are brought back when the NFL literally compromises its policy, lets you back with the team early so you can hang out with them, work out with them, etc. And then on the eve that you are supposed to return, you check yourself into rehab again? I mean, damn.